Hey there, my friends, this is David Wood, and I'm bringing this special message to you today to talk about the potential that we have right now of going through an extremely large and severe economic collapse, or maybe a global recession. We could even go worse. The economy could go into a depression. So now that you're paying attention to this video, I want you to pay attention to this video, because I'm going to teach you in this video how to see the patterns that are going on in society and what they can actually affect in the future, and to actually make you aware of it. So hopefully, if my viewers are aware, it's going to help them to make their viewers aware, and somehow we can get a message out to people about what's actually going on and the actual potential that what we have going on right now has to wreak havoc in the economy, and also how you could potentially profit from it, because in all economic recessions and in all parts of the world where there's something that's happening, there's also great opportunity every time something major changes. And so in the middle of a great change, like for example, the stock market crashing, the economy going down, a currency collapsing, food supply shortages, all these things that have been coming to us for a very long time, that again I've been warning about and other people have been warning about, again, who are economic theorists and who are students essentially of what's going on, have seen a pattern going on right now of one of a few levels of recession that's going to hit. Now let me explain to you why this has the potential to hit. A lot of you know what's going on. I think all of you do at this point, because everybody's walking around in gas masks right now. Right now we're having a global pandemic happen with a disease that was manufactured in a laboratory, which I talked about in my previous video, and you could also listen to, for example, a recent podcast by Dr. Gabriel Cousins, where he's talking about how there's an HIV delivery system essentially linked to a coronavirus. Essentially, somebody took a virus from animals, they linked it to a part of the virus from HIV, and used that to kind of insert it into the human genome. And then we had an outbreak in Wuhan, China, and it's quickly spread around the world. In fact, I believe today we've had over 30,000 new cases worldwide of the virus. Now, people are freaking out right now, and the thing is, there's actually somewhat of a reason for people to be scared. And I don't want to scare you, and I don't want to worry you about what's happening in the future. I actually want to get you excited about what the potential opportunity could be for you. But what I wanted to talk about first in this video is I actually want to talk about why people are afraid. There's actually a very, very, very high death rate with the known causes of this disease. So if you actually look at the disease right now, you look at how many cases there are, and you look at how many people have died, well, you've got to separate two things in those cases. Like I think it's world meters or something like this. You just look up coronavirus statistics, and you can find a daily statistics graph where every single day they have new cases that hit that day, they have new deaths that hit that day, they have the total amount of deaths, they have the total amount of cases, and they have it listed out by country. And then you can click on country for in-depth statistics, and I believe that they're getting those statistics from the World Health Organization, which is reporting it. Now, before I get into these statistics, know that for everyone that we think has the coronavirus, there's probably a significant amount of people that have it that have not reported it, or haven't gone to the doctor, or haven't gotten any help for it, or they're just having minor symptoms or something like that. But we have right now something a little bit over 330,000 cases or something like this of the coronavirus, and of the closed cases, of the closed cases that we've had, there's right around a 14% death rate from the closed cases, meaning these are the people that have either died or recovered. So if you look at the people that have either recovered or died, the relationship between those two numbers is actually, the way the numbers are being reported is actually like a 14% death rate, which is insane. We really haven't seen anything like this since, the Spanish flu hit, which was a pandemic that kind of ended with its second wave around 1918. It's a very, very, very high death rate for a disease, and a lot of people are picking it up, and it's spreading everywhere all at once. And even the places that have had serious lockdown and serious quarantine from the virus, like for example China, they tested every single person that they even remotely thought had the coronavirus, and they massively shut down the growth of the coronavirus with their quarantine, which they could only do because they're a communist country and they have the ability to force people to do what they want. But even then, there's new cases spreading up. And in order to do that, of course, they got to shut down their transportation. They had to quarantine an entire city, okay? And still, I think today they had something like 34 new cases of the coronavirus. So what has the potential to happen is a lot of things. For example, you can't keep people quarantined forever. People need to get out of their house. They need to go shopping, for example. People in general don't have food storage. So what happens is that every time people go and they recongregate, the virus once again has the potential to spread between a lot of people very, 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 very quickly. There's some reverse psychology in here, meaning that, like, for example, here in Colombia, right now nobody is on the streets, but a few people that I see wearing gas masks, and there's some cars driving back in town. They've shut down the majority of industry. They've left open the industries that are essential for survival, for example, grocery stores, doctors, hospitals, people that are growing the food supply and things like this. Well, here's the actual problem with the quarantine, okay? The problem with the quarantine is you get everybody hiding in their homes, and then you let them out for a day to go shopping. So everybody gets let out and think it's quarantine on Monday or something like that. Well, the problem with that is now everybody all at once is rushing into one place because they don't have food anymore, right? They're rushing on the streets trying to sell stuff. Their businesses are open temporarily. And then they go and they get more food, right? And then they're all together again, and once again, you have this potential for the coronavirus to spread from person to person extremely rapidly. So there's obviously some benefits for the quarantine. There's a reason they're doing it. For me, it's just mass government control. It's not the solution that's going to heal people. We really need to focus on healing people. We need to focus on creating a solution. Right, I know the governments of the world right now, they're focused, for example, on a vaccine, which, for example, the flu vaccine is only 5 or 10% effective anyways. It's extremely ineffective. A lot of vaccines are extremely ineffective. Some of them are more effective than others. But they're focusing on a vaccine, but a vaccine has to go through this huge, long period of testing, and a vaccine isn't going to be able to hit the market for over a year. So we have a potential for massive economic disruption from now until, of course, the virus kind of plays its course. Well, here's the problem with that I mentioned in a previous video. The problem with that is that this virus is made in a laboratory, and whoever made it in a laboratory has the ability and the technology, and there's a lot of people that have enough money to do stuff like this. They have the ability and the technology. Now they have a test case to show that it worked, to where if they wanted to, they could just make another virus, okay? And so you say, well, why would somebody make a virus in a laboratory? Well, if you look out on the streets to petty level crime, for example, why do people rob people? Well, you could say, well, because they're hungry, because they don't have work, XYZ, because they're a person with a diseased consciousness, they're possessed by bad spirits, whatever you want to say. People get robbed in the streets, okay? And there's a reason why crime happens. There's a reason why murder happens. And so you get the same kind of a psychotic personality that, for example, they do something like murder, or they do something like rape or something like this, and now they're trying to seize world power, or they're trying to cause a massive disruption, or maybe there's some elite people out there that want to reduce the size of humanity by a third or something like this. And then what they do is they go and they take the little mass murder thing, and they have more money and more technology, and so they go and they invest in a virus, okay? And so this is, again, very obviously made in a laboratory. The problem is that people are messing with things they don't understand, okay? They're messing with things, and even the people that might understand them to a greater level are still messing with things that they don't understand. So this has the ability to happen again. Like, for example, let's say you had somebody really powerful and that was malicious, that wanted to take over the world. How could they create a one world government system, more government control, a centralized, very centralized, very controlled healthcare system that just keeps an eye on everybody at a distance and really oppresses humanity with a fascist kind of spirit? Well, it's really simple. I mentioned this in my other video. You have the formula of problem, reaction, solution. First, you have to create a problem that gets people. First, what you do is you just try to pass it. You say, all right, we want a massive centralized control for XYZ, or we want to take Trump out. Let's say somebody wants to take Trump out or something like this. Okay, the problem is too many people like him, XYZ. Or let's say they just want to reduce the world population, or they want to microchip everybody in society. Well, if you go to society and you say, hey, we want to microchip everybody in a forced legislation where we put all your credit cards in a microchip, and you can't buy or sell unless you scan your hand, and that way we know for sure who the problem is. The problem with doing something like that is you can't really go and you can't really go and microchip society, right? With them they're not just going to bend over and allow you to do that. And so what you got to do first before you implement something like that is you got to create a big problem that causes massive reactions in society. And the big problem that causes massive reactions in society could be all manner of things, and it could be lots of problems in a row, right? It could be a stretch of problems, reactions, and solutions that happen over a period of 50 years or 100 years, slow enough to where people don't notice the grand picture of things that's actually connecting all these ideas together. And then what you do, you have a problem, then you blow the problem out of control, right? Which there's problems that are actually needed to be blown up a little bit, because if people aren't aware, for example, they might spread faster. For example, the coronavirus is actually killing a lot of people, right? And it's tragic because we've got people that that are very important to society. For example, I saw that Rand Paul, who's a congressman, he's infected with the coronavirus. And so now you have problems where you have all sorts of businesses and stuff like this, and they're like, well, what's the solution? Everybody be afraid, right? Hide in your homes. And now you have a situation that's really bad. You say, well, why is that? Well, we got to think about the grand economic scale of and I know Donald Trump has, presented economic stimulus packages and everything like this. I think he presented an economic stimulus package the other day of like $300 million. I'm still in the process of watching his full speech. I've watched like maybe 30 minutes of it, and I just stopped to do the video, and then because I was watching a bunch of other videos as well. And so you have, people are presenting solutions. They're trying to stop the inevitable from happening, but the stock market's crashing. I mean, the S&P 500 dropped 12% in one day. That's the biggest crash we've had in a long time. And all the gains that we've had in the stock markets, almost, okay, from Donald Trump's presidency, we had a lot of gains in the stock markets. They pretty much all declined, and they're brought almost to as low as the stock market was at this point, and maybe it's even lower now. I haven't actually, I didn't look at the stats in the last few hours or something like this, but essentially all the market benefits we've had have collapsed back down. And actually we just went through one of the worst weeks in economic decline as far as the stock market goes that we've had in a very long time. 30% boost in unemployment requests, and all sorts of chaos happening at the same exact time. And it's not done. I actually just read an article where they interviewed one of Trump's former advisors, and he said that we could lose anywhere from 500,000 to 5 million jobs over the next 30 days. And it could go there, it could go even higher than that. You say, well, what kind of jobs are going to be affected? Well, the jobs that are going to be affected, for example, you have transportation, right? There's a massive issue right now in world transportation, okay? You have things like restaurants. There's apps, for example, where people book restaurants, and we've got some initial data back that suggests that anywhere between 35% and 65% reduction in people going out to eat because they don't want to be around people. So you have travel, you have luxury types of businesses, you have businesses like restaurants and where people are gathering, or like bars and stuff like this. Right, and some people would say, well, it might not be such a bad idea if there was less bars in the world, but bars are, again, they're a place where people go and congregate, right? You have the negative impact, for example, on churches. And this is a major issue because if people don't continue connecting with their spirituality, then what happens is their spirituality is going to degrade. So now all of a sudden you've got issues that are going to present themselves where people really have their whole support system intact. Right? So you have their support system intact, and now you've got somebody that has, say that they have an addict issue, or something like that. Now all the addict groups, what are they going to do? Meet online? Right? Now you got churches like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who announced that they've suspended all of the meetings that they have in their church worldwide, right, till further notice. and you've got all sorts of other issues and things like this. So we've got a lot of declines. We've got like something like I wrote the stats down. Hold on, I'll get some of these stats. I should just memorize these. It will only take me a minute. But we got 25% decline in investment in China going on right now. Now there's another issue that's going on to the relation between China and America. For example, China has massively slowed down their exports and imports and stuff like this, and they've slowed down their travel. All these places, the airlines are being hurt, right? U.S. Airlines asked for $50 billion, right? Boeing, which makes airplanes, they cashed a $13.8 billion loan, and they freeze new hiring entirely for now. Now on the positive side, right, Amazon is surging in delivery orders, and they've increased wages $2 an hour, and they hired 100,000 new employees because a lot of people are ordering home delivery. There's other problems though in this, is that people are being separated, right? And you know, we've talked about job losses. We've talked about how the unemployment rate could surge. It's like at an all-time low right now. The unemployment rate's doing great. It's something like 3%. And there's a very strong possibility of the unemployment rate jumping to like 9% or something like this. Hold on, right? So there's all sorts of dangers that are going on right now. The dangers really that are going on, they have to do with the isolation, you know, keeping everybody in their homes, for example, and keeping people separate from each other. Well, there's other issues that pop up from that. For example, issues with people's entire social circles, or people that live alone, you know what I mean? Like, what about all the people here in Colombia, for example, that live alone, that the only joy they have in life is seeing the people they work with, or the only joy that they have in life is and they struggle with happiness. You know, they struggle with feeling happy and feeling good about themselves all the time. Now they're stuck in their home, and let's say both of their parents have passed away. Now you got somebody who's by themselves in their home, and who would they even ask for help if they had some sort of discouragement, or if they're really stressed out about their life or something like this? Maybe they're really cut off and isolated because everything that they love and everything that's important to them shut down. Like today, for example, it's Sunday. I'm not allowed to leave the house. It means I can't go to church. If I get on the street, they might deport me or something like that, right? And I'm in Colombia, obviously, so it's a little bit different here. And they're extending this here. They have it till Monday, then all the stores open up and everybody can go outside on Monday. And then what happens is after that, they're extending the quarantine, I think, another 14 days or another 19 days. You know, I'm staying in a hostel here that normally has tons of customers, right? They normally have I'm not gonna tell you where I'm staying, but they've got like a little bar over here that usually have that open. It's like a bar restaurant. And then they have, you know, this fits 35 people in here. I'm the only guest in here right now because nobody is traveling and everybody wants to go home. So how's this going to affect like the small mom and pop businesses and things like this? There's a massive negative impact, but this can all go somewhere that's a lot bigger. Now, I first learned about the direction where things are going to go when I was a kid. I intuitively knew when I looked at our banking system and I looked at our societal infrastructure that just something is wrong and it needs to be fixed. Like there's just something wrong with it. And I didn't know what was wrong with it for a long time. I guessed a lot of things and they were pretty much always accurate for some reason. Like I guessed there was something wrong with the banking system. So I went and looked at them. Like I just felt like our modern banking system is for some reason evil. I didn't feel like money was evil. I felt like our modern system of banking it's not like all the bank employees are evil or all banks individually are evil or something like this. I felt like the system that we're using to run things, it was rooted in evil. I didn't understand why. And then I looked up how the currency works, and this is actually getting to the point in this video where I talk about possible coming implosion of the economy, and I also talk about what we have the ability to do about it. So I want you to continue paying attention. And I'm going to tell you how you can do things like, for example, really profit from a downward turn in the economy. I'm going to talk about some potential opportunities that you might be able to see right there in front of you, and that really you're in the right place at the right time. If you're watching this video, you're in the right place at the right time. So I'm going to talk to you about some things that can impact you positively. I'm also going to talk about, again, a massive opportunity that we have for world peace. And to do that, I actually got to start another video clip, which I'm going to do right now because I just ran out of room in this video clip here. All right, so we've talked about some statistics and we've talked about some potential downturns in the economy. We've talked about a lot of the things that are actually going on. And what other kinds of businesses can you think of that could be really affected from people not being able to, for example, leave their houses, right? This could be a problem, and who knows how long these sanctions across the world are going to go on. For example, I mean, you got air travel being shut down, the airlines going out of business. You've got, countries shutting down their imports and exports of supplies that are essential. And this is a big issue because, for example, a good majority of the pharmaceutical supplies in the United States that people use for medicine and stuff like this, right, they actually come from China, right? And so the slowing down of exports and the slowing down of manufacturing in China can really have a negative impact on North American businesses. And I think this is one of the reasons why Donald Trump, for example, has been trying to get us off of dependency from international countries such as China by boosting our national production of things in the United States. But at the same time, there's this massive gaping hole that we have as an issue where things really, they have a potential to just kind of shut down all at once. China's economy right now is massively affected from what they did. And here's the thing that I want to convey to you right now, okay? Right now I think we're having something like 1,400 or 1,500 new deaths a day. But the ratio of people that are actually getting the coronavirus is still exponentially expanding. So we have an exponentially expanding disease outbreak that conveniently has to be, it's in the middle of an election cycle going on right now. So it could have been an attack on the elections. It could have been an attack on all sorts of things. It could have just been an attack on humanity. But what we know about it right now is, mark my words, the coronavirus is a biological weapon and it's an attack on humanity. And there's things that are coming, I'm telling you, that are worse. Okay, so how we're reacting to this is actually a big deal. But let me tell you what could potentially happen. Okay, if you look up what happened, for example, in Venezuela, I don't know the whole situation there, but basically the currency popped, it collapsed. The currency was worth money, right? And then something happened, and a short time later, the currency was worth nothing, right? And what happened is the crime rate went way up, the murder rate went way up, there started to be cannibalism and stuff like this going on. And it happened because all of a sudden everybody's savings that they'd saved their whole life was worth nothing, right? And this happened from a similar boom and bust cycle. So there's an attack on the currency system right now that I believe is going on. And it could happen right now, and it might actually happen for a little while. All we need to have happen in order for the currency to implode is enough fear, enough panic, enough economic decline, and then the fear kicks in to boost the economy. The central bankers start printing tons of money, and they do something called quantitative easing. The currency pops up, the debt massively increases in the United States. It becomes to an unsustainable level, right? And then something happens to the North American currency. For example, our agreements over in the Middle East with oil, backing the money with oil, they fall through because the world is operating kind of in a different system, and they're kind of all running around in fear. And then bam, you have the whole United States economy collapsing, and the whole rest of the world economies are essentially connected to, in some way or manner, to the United States economy. And if the United States economy collapses, then there's going to be a whole bunch of economies in the world that collapse all at the same time. Now, if that happens, what's going to happen is you have the potential for a new system to emerge, or a new order of things to emerge. And that could actually go in a positive direction, and that could really go in a negative direction. For example, we could create a world peace organization that actually was a good world peace organization. I have a way of creating that. I have a design for it, and I've been brainstorming it for the last 2 years, for example. We have a world peace organization that could emerge. We also have tyrants that could emerge. We could also have the United States divide into multiple sections and war against each other. For example, if the currency collapsed, Texas could secede from the Union, Alaska could secede from the Union. They could have their own currencies and stuff like this. So there's all sorts of issues that could potentially come up from an economic decline. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen right now, because that's been something that's like been one of these kind of old economic prophecies that's taken forever to happen and still haven't happened. I will tell you, at some point in the future, if we don't change, it's impossible for that not to happen. It's impossible for the economy to not go through a total and complete collapse if people don't change what they're doing. What we're doing is actually a really bad problem, okay? And I've been warning people about this in direct and indirect ways on my channel for a long time. I think for a long time my message wasn't very clear. But there's actually a very big problem. So you say, okay, well, how do we make money from this? How do we profit from this? If we want to change our lives from the better, how can we potentially profit? There's a bunch of things going on right now that you could profit from. For example, the price of silver has just dropped to about $12 an ounce. It hasn't been that low for a very long time, right? Now, I don't know if silver is going to drop more. Silver is kind of like a little chaotic, to be honest. And the real value of silver is being suppressed, and so the actual value of silver. Now, gold has dropped a lot too, but I don't remember the value of gold, right? So, for example, silver drops. What you could do is you could buy some silver at a low price, and then you could sell it when it goes back up, because there's no way that silver is going to stay at $12 an ounce. It's already worth more than that, right? And so, for example, buying and selling silver. I don't want you to consider me an investment advisor. You can make money, for example, right now doing Forex investing. Actually, a good friend of mine, Tracy Walker, she's doing very well with Forex trading, and she has an organization that does Forex, right? The currency's fluctuating, make do for an ability to make a lot of money trading Forex if you know what you're doing. So, you know, they've got a training course or something like this, and this is something that you could do. You could capitalize right now on the health wave that's going on right now. So, for example, there's good companies that are out there right now where you can work from home, where you can sell health and nutrition supplements. For example, I noticed Gabriel Cousins, he's selling nutritional supplements from the Tree of Life Rejuvenation Center, but they're not something that I could just go, he's got his own brands and whatever. I think he also sells other brands, but it's not something that I could just go and I could grab his product and I could just refer people. He doesn't have an affiliate program to his site. But people are in need right now of things that boost their immune systems. Another thing that you could do, if you could figure out a way to do it, I mean, there's the craze right now with the face masks. Actually, this craze it's kind of on it's kind of on the peak. It's going near the peak right now because so many people have bought the face masks. I had a friend that put some ads out and he was selling them, and then Facebook shut down all the ads for face masks that were going on right now. So, you know, he figured out a new way to do it, but I'm not going to tell you what he's doing, because if I tell everybody what he's doing, then he probably won't tell me what he's doing anymore. My point is that there's the emergency preparedness niche, right? For example, people right now, they're freaking out. They want toilet paper. They're like, I need a tent. What if I have to go camping? What if I lose my home, right? There's all sorts of things going on right now that you can capitalize actually when people are in the middle of fear. But what I want you to do is I want you to not fear, right? And I want you to think about the opportunity. I got involved in internet marketing in 2009. And 2009 was spurred by an economic recession in 2008, where all of a sudden, the home business industry online particularly, make money from home, for example, really went through an exponential growth curve. It really did. And the reason it went through an exponential growth curve was because we were in the middle of an economic recession. So it was like, for example, I was in Hawaii. It was very difficult to get jobs. There was tons of homelessness going on. We had a massive unemployment rate, right? And a lot of that had to do with things that were going on in the Obama administration. I can't even remember right now what caused that economic recession. I'm actually reading something about it right now because I'm refreshing myself. But there's an economic recession, and so during an economic recession, what always happens, no matter what else is going on, is some industries really tank and others really explode. Like, for example, whoever's manufacturing and printing toilet paper right now, they're making hand over fist cash. They're making fistfuls of cash, right? From all the people who, I don't even know how they did that. They ran commercials probably. Hey, the coronavirus pandemic's going on. You know, all the toilet paper's being bought out of the stores. You better run and grab toilet paper right now. So, I mean, there's got to be like 10 or 20 times the amount of toilet paper being sold. So, in the middle of this, look for opportunity, right? There's investment opportunities, but be very careful with your money, particularly if you don't know what you're doing. There's opportunities for new industries to emerge, right? There's the home business and the network marketing profession. right? The home business and the network marketing profession. Hey, if everybody's stuck in their homes for a month or a year or whatever it's going to be, I mean, how long can we keep people stuck in their homes? And here's the problem with what we're doing right now. Number one, we're keeping people stuck in their homes to slow down the growth of the virus. Well, number two, eventually they're going to need supplies. When they need supplies, number three happens, which is people connect with each other anyways. When people connect with each other anyways, what happens next is the coronavirus spreads again when people connect with each other again, right? So we could go through a wave one of its spread, and we could go through a wave two. Like, for example, China has shut it down. Well, what we could do is we could shut down the communication with travel and stuff for a long time. Well, then we open it back up, and let's say the numbers have stopped exponentially expanding. All of a sudden, everybody gets out of their house, they're together again, they're all excited because they can go outside, so they're like freaking out, buying everything they can. And then all of a sudden it starts spreading again, but now we have a problem with the airlines because the airline has gone out of business and they've all needed loans, and then we need to give economic stimulus to them. And now all of a sudden the government's just printing money left and right, and the printing of the money inflates the currency, and then boom, there's an attack on the currency in the Middle East. Currency collapses and the dollar's worth nothing. And then all the economies in the world start a chain reaction like somebody flicking a domino. And then what happens is New World Order steps in, right? So we got to be very aware in all this of what the problems are, also what the opportunities are. Like, think about, like, get a checklist and say, pull it out and say, how can I make money and capitalize during this time of economic recession? Look, I'm going to just say this, I'm going to say this up front. This is the last thing that a lot of us, would like to be worrying about. We want to worry about, hey, there's these people, they're hurting, there's people, they're dying, stuff's going out of business and stuff like this. It's the last thing that anybody wants to worry about. But the reality of the situation right now is this, is that there's more opportunity for the right things right now than there has been for a very, very, very long time. So I want you to look at the positive. I want you to look at the opportunity that you have to prosper more. But more importantly than that, there's something bigger that we need to do together. There's a real opportunity right now for people to work together in a totally new way. I just got an email again from Gabriel Cousins, and he was suggesting that everybody tonight at 7 o'clock does a World Peace Meditation. I actually don't even know if this video will be uploaded by 7 p.m. because it takes me forever to render it, and it takes me forever to upload it where I'm at. However, meditating for an hour a day on world peace, right? There's a lot we can do together right now. There's a lot of different ways that we can unify right now as a people, okay, to make sure that the change and the transition that happens to us is good. There's a lot of ways that we can unify together as a people to go prosper more, to go make a lot of money. Like, imagine being able to make so much money over the course of the next 6 months because you're locked in your house anyways. Let's say the government just keeps you in your house, right? And they're not letting you go outside, and we've got military rule on the streets. Well, you might as well be, if you're going to be stuck inside, you might as well be doing whiteboard presentations and selling products and finding a way to capitalize. Like I said, we got all these industries going down, and Amazon's adding 100,000 new jobs and increasing wages because they just got such a gigantic surge in orders. So imagine that you could be doing something and capitalizing right now on this. Don't be afraid, be excited, right? Just turning, your fear to excitement is going a long ways towards getting you to focus on something else than a pandemic. I'm very worried right now about a lot of things because I have a concern for people. I'm worried about Priscilla and my two kids, Gabriel and Angel, over in Costa Rica that I haven't seen for 2 years. I haven't heard from them or anything, right? But the thing is that situation's going and being what that situation is, and I can't think about it all day, right? So I'm very, concerned about my parents, my grandparents, and things like this. I could go on all day with things that are going to be negative, and it's like you could see that death rate jump to 30,000 people a day, right? And then how much are people going to be freaking out when the death rate goes to 30,000 or 40,000 or 100,000 people a day? That's where the exponential spread of a pandemic is heading, and why the governments of the world are trying to shut it down. But the problem is what they're doing is a temporary band-aid. It's a temporary solution. It's not going to solve the problem. We've got multiple real problems here. The biggest one being that society itself has karma and a reason for these diseases to show up. And because of that, they're showing up, okay? That's the problem. I'll talk about that in a future video. I don't want to dwell on this now. Right now, I want to dwell on the problem is, another problem is, We've got all these people that are displaced and they need some way to make money, right? They're going to be looking for ways to make money. They're going to be looking for, how can I make money? How can I make money while I'm stuck in my home, right? I had this actress girl that I know that I was talking to on WhatsApp. She immediately went from being an actress to now she's trying to make money from home on the internet, right? So there's like a time right now where you can really, really go out there and you could profit from this, because at the end of the day, you've got to survive yourself, and it's important that you take massive action and do whatever you can to create new results, to change things in your life, to change the opportunity around you. So I want you to see the positive picture for you in the future, and this is a time to start dreaming and start creating new ideas for what's possible. Like, let's say there's an economic collapse. Are you properly prepared at this time in your life for the danger and the disease and the craziness that could happen on the streets if the economy's collapsed? If the answer is no, what do you need to do? What you actually need to do right now is really obvious. You need to find a way to make a lot of money so you can have income coming in regardless of whether you work or not. So you can have some sort of income creation machine where you've got checks coming to you and income coming to you, and you can be at home and be traveling the world when travel opens back up. Or, you could go do something luxurious when people are doing something luxurious again. Take this time that you have right now as an opportunity to remake yourself, to re-aim your mind, to re-aim your consciousness, and to say, I'm going to capitalize no matter what happens, and my family is going to be in a good position that they've never been in before, right? Also, stay connected with people, okay? If you are in, for example, some sort of an organization where you're connecting with people all the time, if you're, like, say you're in an addict group or something, you can't just shut down these things. Meet in private groups, do hangouts with them, right? Do Zoom hangouts, right? I bet Zoom is going to get a lot of sales over the next bit because people are going to be wanting to meet on the internet, right? Do Google Hangouts. Find a way to connect with people and meet with people face to face, and to brainstorm and to strategize and to say, what are we going to do together right now to totally change this situation around us? If you can get excited about some kind of a new future where you see yourself in an important role in society because of what you did today, then you're on the right track. I'm going to have more about this for you over the course of the next little while, because I think it's an opportune time to get some good education out that really helps people to get to the next level in their life and to create changes internally. And the last thing that I want to say is, don't be afraid, but what I want you to do, what I want you to be, is courageous and be still inside and know that your higher power, that your God, that your higher source, that your spirit, your body is going to be safe. Have faith, because if you have faith that you're going to be okay, magical things are going to happen to you, and literally it's possible for you to be in the right place at the right time for years straight and go on and to be one of the most successful people that you've ever encountered in your life, just because rather than getting all caught up in the worry trap of society, you decided that you're going to do something completely and totally different with your life and really go out and impact people. So this is David Wood again. I am out, and I will see you on the beaches of the world. Hope this helped you. Just imagine yourself that you're in a situation where you're online, you're working from home, and now all of a sudden you're making so much money from home and you're profiting so much, and you've got so much results happening around you, and so many people are liking and sharing your stuff, and so many people are associating with you, and you're making so many new friends, that when this all goes away and it's not a problem anymore, you're in a better position then than you were in 2 years ago, okay, or a year ago, or 6 months ago, okay? We've got a long wait for this one, and I'll talk about maybe in another video some potential ways of actually shutting it down worldwide, but I got to think about that a little bit first, because I don't want to just like talk out the wazoo. I just want you to focus right now on what can you do to change everything in your life. How can you use this situation as an opportunity to create the change that you desire in your life, in your business, in your spirit? how can you utilize this situation to manifest the life that you want? It's my question for you. Dave Wood out.